Tom Kenny here with you. Sports Hit List by the fans for the fans. We have a special presentation here. WWE versus AEW. Right now, AEW has about half the viewership that WWE has on Wednesday nights as per Raw on Monday nights. So we're going to do a little discussion here. AEW versus WWE. Let's compare and contrast. I have with me Zack Droll. Zack, thank you, from Under the Ring Podcast.
Thank you for having me again.
Joining us. Mike Murillo, internet famous after the last debate.
I'm back.
And the one and only, the chosen one,
Yes.
Carl Coulon.
You see what's funny about this set is we had two debates here.
Yes.
And then we had the other side here. So I don't know if we should switch seats because we each had our own little feuds.
That's
and
right.
now we're bringing everything together.
Well, it's kind of like in wrestling where they bring the feuding guys to tag team together. Maybe that's what this will be.
Yeah,
today.
we actually need a name if we're going to do four of us like a stable. If we're going to team up together.
new Four Horsemen.
I don't know how Zach feels about that sitting next to Mike, but
the Hitless Four Horsemen.
all right.
The Hitless Four Horsemen.
I'll take that.
I like that. It's not bad. So starting off the debate, since we talked about you, Zach,
Yes.
we know you're a big AEW fan.
Oh, yeah,
Why don't you tell us a little bit about AEW here?
AEW is probably the best independent own it's more or less of an independent show that's aired on TV, and and with a lot of things that are going on, like these people are if we're allowed to talk about what's currently going on within the sports world, is that okay?
We could try to, yeah. I mean, knowing we know what's going on with the coronavirus.
With what's going on in the sports world, where AEW is having a very limited audience for the next show, and hearing that is very interesting because these guys are now they're used to performing in a very smaller audience. So versus WWE guys, they're used to it in a sense.
What?
All right, so Mike, I mean, AEW used to a smaller audience, WWE used to a big audience, used to WrestleMania. I mean, some reaction here.
Listen, WrestleMania's okay. First off,
smaller
venues.
I didn't bring up WrestleMania, so
Guys,
I know.
there.
Smaller venues. Well, Kenny Omega hasn't been in a smaller venue. But we'll talk about Kenny Omega later on. All right. If you guys want to bring him up.
Sure, yeah. No, I mean, it's your time, Mike. What do you want to talk about?
I think WWE has a good product. I think NXT is their best product, without a doubt. NXT delivers all the time. I'll tell you what, no argument. We have to all agree on this. AEW and NXT deliver on their special events. I mean, there's no question about that, and that's why I love watching both of their pay-per-views. But I just feel though NXT just pushes it just a little bit more because people tweet about it a little bit more. People remember it a little bit more. I'll tell you this, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me. AEW cannot survive without the Elite, but NXT can, and I just think NXT's way.
All right, so we have Zach, who's all in on the AEW. We have Mike, who's a little in the middle, but both of them are elite, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy guys. So let's talk to a WWE guy here, Mr. Carl Coulon. Carl, what do you think?
Well, first thing, I'm surprised that Zach, he's the AEW guy, but he has a WWE
It's
shirt.
in the wash.
You can't escape
Listen,
the
I have to
WWE.
listen.
It's in
I
the
love
wash.
you, but I have to call you out on that, right?
It's
So
in the
if we're
wash.
all of us are here representing WWE, wearing
in the
their
wash.
product and
Yes.
merchandise.
Yes.
So that's point number one. Point number two, I'm a walking WWE, as you can tell. $9.99 if you want to get the WWE
now.
Network. Yes,
For
and
now.
for now, but that's the advantage
Still
that
$9.99.
WWE has, I believe, over AEW. And right now, because of the coronavirus, we're seeing a lot more limited content in terms of fan interaction because, Lord knows where the next Monday Night Raw is coming from. Is it from a Performance Center or not, or they're going to cancel it? Knowing Vince, he may not cancel it. But the WWE Network has so much endless content that they're producing features and documentaries, and I think that's where they kind of take the advantage. Yes, I get it. We love the live action, but the archival system in terms, like right now, I've been discussing with you guys, I'm watching Ruthless Aggression.
Yes, really
Awesome
good,
documentary.
Really good.
The Table Talks. You have 24-hour series. There's so much content
Really
on the
good
WWE
content.
Network that
And the podcast.
endless,
At
and the
their
podcast. Not to mention
After
the
the
WCW archive, the ECW archive. So I think that's where WWE basically beats them just a little bit. As far as the other shows are concerned, Raw and SmackDown are inconsistent. We know that. Once WrestleMania season comes about, they pick about. I like to think SmackDown's better because it's one less hour than Monday Night Raw. Sometimes that 3 hours is dragging.
Sometimes less.
A bit too much.
Right,
yeah.
so I love SmackDown's build-up, and I love the fact that SmackDown doesn't necessarily use all their talent all the time. So you may get the Usos, who's gone for a few months, and then they come back, and it's like they're fresh, and then they'll be gone again. So they rotate their superstars much better than Raw. I will admit I don't have time to watch AEW and NXT, but I do my best to keep up and see what's going on. I like some things with AEW, but I don't know if they have what it takes to basically beat WWE.
So maybe Carl thinks they don't have, like he said, he doesn't think they have what it takes to be WWE. But what do you think they have?
I do think they have what it takes because they are getting a lot of former WWE talent, which is it's turning into, and I'm going to quote him from the past, a WCW junior, but like with how they're acting and how they're treating their superstars, it's not like WCW. You see more of freedom and creativity with their wrestlers. Like a lot of things, like from what I've heard, like everyone's promos, they're given a mic that says, just follow the storyline, here you go. Like that's what I think, like on how they can compete with them. Because you want guys who want to share their talents of making a story without a script or anything like that. Because WWE is very script heavy on every single promo, you can definitely tell. And when it goes off the rails, you can tell that as well. For example, if you look at the Roman Reigns and John Cena segments, when that was going on, that went off script when Roman forgot his lines, and Cena could call them out. But like but with creativity, it's more key in wrestling nowadays, in my opinion. That's where I see AEW is successful.
Well,
All right. Well, Mike, are you around to talk? I'm just going to let you talk. I was going to throw it to you, but you're way ahead of me that time.
I'll let you, slow down those times.
Okay.
I'll tell you this: the one
I thought you were going to let me
advantage.
slow it down. I'm just kidding, Mike. Go. I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you this: the next time that we talk about AEW, we got to talk about the one thing that they are lacking in, and that is the women's division. We have to agree on
Yes.
that. NXT has an amazing women's division. Now, you talk about creativity. I feel as if, though, when it comes to both brands, or, you talk about a whole corporation, WWE, there is beginning to have some creativity. NXT, I could tell, has that creativity because you don't want to run out of ideas. I feel as if, though, there's going to come a day in which AEW is going to run out of ideas. And so that's when you're going to need guys to write for you.
Okay.
NXT, on the other hand, NXT will continue on. One thing about Raw that I will tell you is Paul Heyman is now beginning to give those superstars creative freedom. He's now beginning to be like, okay, guys, go out there and cut, unscripted promos, go do that. SmackDown still needs that. I mean, I agree. SmackDown was very entertaining last week. I mean, they didn't have an audience, and it was really entertainment. AEW is entertaining, but my only concern with them is their women's division and the fact that they might run out of ideas someday. You never know.
Can I counter
Yeah,
that?
no,
Listen,
Carl,
I'm
you should
not
counter that because I mean, WWE's got great ideas, man. They got probably the best in pro wrestling, Triple H at the helm. So I mean, I can't think of one guy better than Triple H. So why don't you rebut that, Carl?
Nice, Tom.
Just speak the truth.
Listen, it's hard for you to run as a creative director, and we're all creative here,
Yes.
and we all, whatever we do, we're in the business of creating content. I disagree, even though I don't watch AEW religiously like you guys do, but
religiously.
it's hard for you to run out of content when you're in the business of producing. As a producer, you never run out of content. Like that's an excuse that I don't think any CEO, COO will ever take. Like, well, we're running out of ideas. What do you mean? I hired you as creative. You're supposed to do the better job to create. Now I can't sit here and say they're going to take WWE's ideas, but again, you guys know this when you're producing content, and this goes to our crew, this goes to anyone in the business. You're always producing different kinds of content. There's no excuse of, well, I'm going to run out of ideas. So I don't think AEW will ever run out of ideas. I just think in terms of promotion, they need to do a better job of promotion, getting themselves more exposed. People do know them on. I've had conversations with people saying, oh, do I watch the alternative in AEW? So I think they will be there. I'm just concerned about, again, WWE has 3 programmings in a week. They only have 1. So how can you compete? Like that's the main issue. And then again, as I said about the WWE Network, how can you compete with 3 programs during the week, plus online streaming that you pay for, and their pay-per-views are what, once every other month, or how many pay-per-views do they have?
4 pay-per-views now.
Once
Just
every
4
other month.
pay-per-views.
Yeah, once every other month, where WWE is having one once a month. How do you compete with that? So I think those are the issues. And also, you're talking about global. WWE just had a pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia, right? How can AEW compete globally when?
Very controversial.
So again,
Very controversial.
it's very controversial, but they still did it though.
Yes, they did.
So how can AEW compete with all WWE has to offer right now? And again, I understand they're only 5 months in, but if we're looking at later on, can they go globally? Can they add more pay-per-views? Can they add their own streaming service? Can they not rely on Bleacher Report to air their pay-per-views?
Well, it's like if you
Keep saying compete.
All right, well-
if you look at it from this point of They almost like, if you count TV wise, they've been around, yes, for 5 months.
Right.
But like in actuality, the company itself has been around for almost a year, which coming up in May for their
Double or Nothing
Yes.
pay-per-view in Vegas, which may not even happen, knowing what's
May
going
not
on with
happen.
with
You
the
never know
coronavirus.
because it's in a venue. I mean, you never know.
Like most
Listen,
pay-per-views.
you
All right, so
no, wait,
I'll
wait,
let you get to your point. So we're gonna have final thoughts here, real
I
quick.
say
Mike,
this?
we're gonna start with you with the final thoughts.
because that's their mania. I'll say that way.
Double or
Their
Nothing.
mania
Yes,
is wrestling.
That's what I'm thinking about.
So, Mike, final thoughts. You're stuck on an island. AEW, WWE. What are you picking, Mike?
Oh man, it's so difficult. You know what? I'm Carl. WWE for life. Since I was 2 years old, I loved it. WWE.
WWE. Mr. AEW, man, we already know you'd probably pick AEW. Is that safe to assume?
Yep,
So,
AEW, the
say
elite.
one good thing about WWE and one thing AEW can improve on.
WWE, they are taking the right direction by moving stuff to the Performance Center, in my opinion. That is a very smart idea. What AEW needs to do is definitely need to branch out into a streaming service, which is they currently are kind of doing that with Bleacher Report by having like all the shows on there to watch for free, like if you buy them, and also the previous Dynamite episodes, and the roads to the shows they have them. On there too.
Okay. And Mr. Carl Coulange, final thoughts. I think HBK Shawn Michaels has some great WrestleMania matches. I want you to say something nice
my
about
God.
the chosen one, the real game, Triple H.
Listen, like I said to you before in our segments, I love Triple H. Triple H is.
He loves Triple H, everyone. Well, for Tom Petty, Carl Coulange, Mike Murillo, and Zack Cole, this was Sports Hitless. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the social.
That was a
media.
setup,
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for
Absolute
watching.
setup. He set
See you
me
next
up.
time.
He set
See you
me
next
up.
time.
He
See you
set me
next
up.
time.
He set me up. Did you really write that in there? That's Kenya's fault. He set me up. I blame Kenya for
See
that
you
one.
next time.